Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network.
Hey, welcome to Geek Fruit Retcon, where we travel back in time to a previous episode from our inglorious history on the Geek Fruit Podcast. Happy listening, you nerds.
Hi everybody and welcome to the Geek Fruit Full Stop. That's it. Sorry, we don't say show or podcast or anything because we're quite, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. Jishnu and Dinkar, hi guys, help me out.
Hello, greetings.
Dinkar, you have a call from Nishant Sohail.
Hello, I'm doing the Geek Fruit. I didn't actually take it.
Yeah, I know
I'm
you
a
did.
professional.
I was very distracted by the fact that you had a call coming in. More so than you were, clearly.
Yeah, so wait, this show is just called Geek Fruit.
Mm-hmm.
So
and
that's what you say.
listener, welcome to it. With me I have Jishnu Guha and Dinkar Dwivedi, two expert nerds in the field of everything.
I don't think we've ever said our full names on this show.
Yeah?
I was hoping that would stay a mystery.
Now they can find us.
Damn it.
no.
Well, they don't know my full name, so that's good.
Okay.
Alright, cool. So, moving on. So guys, we have a long episode to talk about. Why we have Dinkar in the studio is always we get him when we feel like the two of us...
Wait,
what is the Justice League
can
line?
we-
when
what?
Earth's mightiest heroes... No, what does it say? When one single hero is not enough or whatever it is. Something like that, right? When Avengers come together. Isn't that...
Not a clue. But, hey,
Yeah.
speaking of Dinkar and him being here, can we address why he magically incarnated for our random news generator segment on our last episode?
Because because of this episode. It's like with this episode we're talking about Flash, we're talking about the multiverse, and we're talking about how, timelines change and things like that.
So what happened to you? Because you were there 1 second, and next thing I knew, you were
you
gone.
said-
Obviously,
Everyone.
my time remnant did something to kind of affect the previous timeline, and so I'm, vanished mysteriously.
You were the time remnant.
Does your
Oh,
time
I was
revenant,
the
does your
time-
time revenant have a passport as well? Because I know you don't.
Do you need a
that's where you
passport to
were.
travel between Earths?
Yeah,
So-
there should be something like that.
Just to give you all some context, at the last episode, if you heard the last one that we did, you might recall that Tejas Men and by the way,
Oh,
I just
wow.
let it slip. Damn it.
no.
Damn it.
Spoiler
It's a
alert.
spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Well, damn. But if you did listen to the last episode, you might recall that he magically disapparated. It took us a few minutes to figure out the difference between apparating and disapparating. There
Of
apparently
course.
is a difference.
No,
I-
apparating is to kind of... Oh,
Appear.
wait, you're right.
Right?
Yeah,
See?
absolutely
See?
right.
Exactly.
You didn't think about it. We didn't think
It's
about
one
it
of those
either.
words like cleave, which mean both things, to join and to separate.
Well then.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Just dropping that schooling.
Yeah.
So
no-
they just magically disapparated right before we went into the random news segment. Dinkar magically apparated. Reason being,
I don't think people care so much.
no, I think it's very important to know that
Okay.
The
Tejas-
continuity of the show is crucial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
We need-
yes, definitely.
Obviously.
We need,
I agree.
We need some level of exposition for the listener to know, why
okay,
random casting choices were made.
So should I lie or should I tell the truth? This is a difficult one,
Well,
right?
here's the thing: they won't know either
Yeah,
way.
so I'm going to tell the truth. The real story is that I suddenly got a call and I had to leave. That's the
Who's
truth.
on the other end of that call?
I to this day not know. I don't know. But it was mysterious enough.
So
for
you
me
just
to want to leave.
took a call from a faceless man.
Yeah,
And
a man
now-
has no.
Phone. A man has no
A
passport.
man has no telephone.
Okay, but speaking of which, we usually start the show talking about, some interesting tidbits. I really want to bring this up. I just read this thing on Men's XP. Do you guys read mensxp.com?
No, why would you?
No?
Why would
What
you
the hell
read
is- what?
mensxp.com?
What is
I
that?
keep getting shares from it, and I
What
think
is-
I have
is that
like
like a
Men's
men's
XP.
health magazine?
No, it sounds like that, but
It's like a style
It's like a
magazine?
style thing, but they often speak about current events and pop culture and
But
things
it's like
like that.
clickbaity.
Yeah.
It's quite clickbaity, but I thought this was quite clickbaity.
Okay.
Brother of Warren
And
Beatty.
then you clicked.
Okay,
Oh,
so
okay.
I read this cool thing about the headline was as such. Jon Snow's Lord Commander cloak and GOT swords were all manufactured in Noida. There you go.
Wow.
Yeah, you won't believe it, but there's a company who basically outsources their, production to Noida, and you won't believe the kind of stuff that they've created here. Stuff from Batman Begins They have stuff from Star Wars, which is created here. Obi-Wan's robes and everything made here. They have
that was at Dhobi Talab. I saw a guy beating it up and cleaning it. Yeah. Why do you think it's brown? Because it's just
very,
dirty.
very.
It's just
funny.
made in India, and they just let the dust settle and cool, take it.
Wow, man, you're going hard
I know.
on us, man. Jeez. But yeah, they've designed all the robes from Harry Potter as well. So, and it costs. Okay, here's a bit of a estimate. For instance, the entire ensemble for Obi-Wan Kenobi costs $4,000, which is 2.6 lakhs, which is not bad actually.
The entire his costume.
His costume, yeah. And it's basically, and they make lots of latex replicas of all the Game of Thrones swords and things like that. It's all in Noida, man. I thought that was quite interesting.
That is pretty interesting.
And obviously they're exclusive for these, films and, and for these movies and television shows. But you're not allowed to kind of sell them here. But I'm surprised that we haven't found one on any black market or, I'm sure there's in Delhi 6, there's in some bazaar, there has to be one guy selling these kick-ass Valerian steel, and all these people are just man, that's a fake, man. Just walking by. Unless you sell it at a premium at Comic-Con, it's not real. So that's the mentality, I suppose.
So is this episode now officially sponsored by Men's XP?
I know, but hey, Men's
It could
XP, if
be.
you're hearing us, let's do some clickbaity work together. I don't know, should I be asking about that?
No.
Okay, fair
Hey,
enough.
Men's
Sorry,
XP,
guys.
if you're listening,
Good for you.
Thanks for listening, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Leave us alone.
We just pimped your post out.
Yeah.
What is the opposite of clickbait? Is there another kind of bait? If it's not clickbait, is it just regular bait? Isn't that just at the end of a fishing pole?
that- yeah, that's
Isn't that a
just-
worm on a stick?
Is there another kind of bait?
Yeah. It's not clickbait. It's...
There's Norman
Are
bait.
you setting this up?
No, I'm setting this up for an answer that I would like.
No.
Well, I guess there isn't one. Cool.
Okay. All right.
Well, that's how mine works.
That's terrible because we're talking about television where they only ask questions when they know the answers and they're going to reveal them later on. So, this has been an interesting exchange of information. We have one thing I really want to bring up, which is not really. I don't really want to bring it up, but it's quite cool. We get a lot of interaction on
Scale
Twitter.
of 1 to 10, how much do you want to bring it up?
6.
Oh, I'll take it. It's a pass.
We get a lot of interactions and stuff on Twitter. You guys can find us on Twitter, on Instagram, on a bunch of stuff. And we just got one nice little mention, I think, yesterday.
Yep.
At the time of this recording, and it was quite nice.
Oh, wait,
to see.
we have to sing the fan mail song.
There's a fan mail song?
Yeah, it goes...
Don't.
Fan mail!
Don't.
That's not much of a song.
It's a good song, man. It's
Yeah.
short and sweet.
Hey, remember when you used to do songs at the top of the show and try to make that a thing and it didn't work out? Now you forgot. Now you're doing a fan mail song, which is not really good.
You just never know when it's coming. That's what I said. It's. I'm a loose cannon, man. I'm a loose cannon.
Oh God, if you're a loose cannon. So, Xenu, who is at Mental Nova Stark. Mental Nova Stark.
Mental Nova.
That's 3 universe. Actually, not 3.
Yeah.
2 universes. 1 universe,
The Nova
which is
Prime.
the Nova is in Marvel universe. Stark is in Marvel universe, unless he's talking about Stark, which is from
Yeah.
Game of Thrones, and Mental.
Is just
That
a-
thing. So he said, "Cool podcast" with a K, and I said, "Cool name, Xenu." And then he said, "I listen to you guys every day on my way to work," and I was like, "That's excellent to hear," and I mean that both ways, huh? As in him listening to it and us receiving that news. Anyway, so yeah,
Is
so
Xenu
Xenu
spelled with an X or a
with
Z?
no, he's not like Xena, but it's with a
Okay.
Z.
Isn't the Scientology Xenu with an X?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
So Flash,
Or
right?
Xenu?
Yeah, so we're going to take a break. Okay, actually, we should probably move on to Flash because there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is an interesting space for us to keep talking about people who send in mail. So please send in your mail to contactgeekfruit@gmail.com or on Twitter. Make your interactions 140 characters. Actually, sorry, I was going to say 140 different characters is the number of characters right now in the Marvel universe. No, that's not true at all. I'm just saying that it was
Let's take that break.
Let's take that break.
Well, hello there. I'm Naveen Narona. Do you ever think about what's it like growing up gay in India? What LGBT rights mean? What's happening to gay people around the world as we speak? Which diva inspired me to soar like an eagle? Well, it's time to get answers to all those questions, especially the diva one. Keeping It Queer will take a close look at the lives of ordinary LGBT heroes in India. People in the closet, people who tumbled out of it, and allies who support the movement in general. So come join me every Monday on a new episode of Keeping It Queer.
Hello again.
Hi.
Hello.
We're talking about The Flash today.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, so, preface it for us, Jishnu, why don't you?
So there's a show. It's on the television. Also, no, it's only on the television, isn't it?
No,
yeah,
it's
not.
on-
It's
it's
not
gonna be in the
streaming.
movies
It is
soon.
streaming also.
It is on the television
it's-
and on the streaming
okay,
devices.
yeah.
It's called The Flash.
It's
It's
called
about
The
a
Flash.
man who likes the color red, and he runs pretty damn quick. Okay, maybe he doesn't like the color red, but it was chosen for him.
Oh
Did
my
he choose
God.
that color?
No, that's not the issue. Okay.
No, wait. It's
One
not.
second, sorry.
Listen, this is not technically
Jishnu,
wrong.
One second.
This is
Dinkar,
not
please
wrong.
preface it for
The
us.
Flash is a
What?
television show that recently completed its third season.
Second season.
Second season, right.
Oh,
I
God,
lost it.
all of you
Oh,
are
Lord.
failing
He's
hard
called
today.
I am
He's
sorry.
called the
I
red
ran-
streak.
I
He's
got
called-
ahead of myself.
He's called the red streak.
No, he's not.
He's called the streak.
No.
What?
No, he's not.
It was
Okay.
a thing. Wasn't it a thing?
They
Yeah,
just
it was-
preface it for us.
It was
Oh
in
my
the
God.
first season before they...
Yeah, that's what I mean.
They gave him
It
his
was a
official
thing,
title.
right.
Okay, cool. So
How
if
did the
you're
color red come in?
familiar with this
I need these
certain
questions
television
answered.
show on the CW, there's a show called The Flash. We're talking about it today. It just finished its second season, and it's actually quite good for teenage soap opera-ish science fiction kind of show.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously this is in that DC multiverse which is on television right now, which was started by Arrow, I think in 2013, I want to say.
Yeah, something
No,
like that.
I think Arrow's on its like fourth season now,
It is,
right?
yeah.
So I think that's like,
Finishing up
yeah,
the
so there's two seasons. So I think Arrow started in 2013, yeah. And, just the guys who were handling it, which was Greg Berlanti, Andrew Kreisberg, and I think Jeff Johns was kind of overlooking it at the time. They started, with Arrow, and they went with this really, really weird kind of depiction of him in the sense that they only called him Arrow. They gave him a much darker story than he has one in the comics. In the comics, Oliver Queen is a very fun like kind of guy, and he's quite witty and stuff like that. But they made him very dark, almost Batman-ish. And then after a lot of feedback from the fans, they kind of started moving it towards a more comic booky thing. And they had a backdoor pilot which featured Barry Allen, and because he got such positive reviews, they said, "Hey, let's give this guy his spin-off show." Now, The Flash is I think it's the highest rated show on the CW right now. And for good reason. It's a very light show. It doesn't have the grim, take that most superheroes have these days. And I think that's something that a lot of people have taken to. It's a show which you don't have to take too seriously, but it still has high stakes enough for you to care for the characters. The supporting cast is amazing. They have some really, really good actors in Tom Cavanaugh. You must have seen him on Ed or on Scrubs as JD's brother. They have Jesse L. Martin from Rent. I mean, the guy, apart from being probably the warmest human being on the planet, he's also, he's a wonderful actor, dramatic actor. Actually, that's the thing. Both of them are real good dramatic actors. The rest of them are very, very interesting to watch, apart from Caitlin Slow, who we'll get to, which needs to go now. So
Okay, that's how you do a preface.
All right, so we've come to this end of the second season. Is there any point in talking about anything else? We don't have to preface it. Now, people who are listening to this right now should know what we're talking about. So,
Hopefully you're caught up on season 2 of The Flash, because it's going to be spoiled.
Hey, this is the first time we can say spoiler alert before we spoil anything. Because we
Spoiler
never do
alert.
that.
yeah, we never do
We
that.
never say spoiler
We should
alert
do
in
that.
time.
Yeah, we should have like a little bit of music. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler!
That's it.
That
It's done.
sounds very like the fan mail song, though.
It's in the same theme. It's in the same canon. It's part of the same operatic masterpiece.
It's part of a suite
It's-
of songs.
Sweet. Okay, cool. So, we're talking about season 2. And now season 2 has kind of primarily focused on Zoom. I'd say it's the Flash's second greatest villain. Not counting, obviously, the Reverse Flash, which we did a bit in the first season. And now this season, this is a problem though with the CW shows, because they're kind of soap opera-ish. And we've talked about this before, is that these shows are really, really long. As in, like, this is 23 episodes?
23, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Half an hour.
Yeah. And, and just in doing my research for this episode itself, I was just like, wow, so much. I just did a little recap and went through over all the episode, descriptions of the entire season. I was just like, wow, a lot has really happened in this. In the beginning of the season, something that completely slipped my mind right now is that Patty Spivot was a huge character, and she was a love interest for Barry.
Yeah.
And she's gone. She's done. Like, we don't even think about her. She's probably not, because of the events of the end of the finale, we don't even know if we're going to see her in any shape or form. We might see her in a different
What she
avatar.
did? She literally just got on a train
She
and
just
then
she just left.
She basically
bounced.
finds out that he's the Flash, and she can't handle it. and she's
she
just like,
feels like
I'm
she
out.
didn't, she wasn't trusted, which is fine. I think that's understandable because everyone knows.
But do we
There's
know-
barely anybody in that place that doesn't know Barry Allen is the Flash.
Which
Spoiler alert.
is why, I mean, Wally kind of saying, I had no idea you were the Flash by the end of the episode, like the last episode. I was like, really, Wally, though? You're not the brightest, are you? I mean,
really
like,
not.
all these events are happening in and around your family, so I guess it was a bit of a stretch. I mean, we should do a segment which is like 10 hard questions we need to ask the Flash, and we should do this for pretty much every show or movie, which is like, all the unrealistic elements need to be questioned, but obviously
Which in the Flash there are quite a few.
There are quite
And
a few,
usually
yeah.
it works because they lean into it and go like, well, we're having fun, and then they like,
yeah, exactly, and you don't want
just move
yeah.
past it.
Yeah.
And then there's so much happening that you can't keep track. This is also why I thought it was 3 seasons. It just feels like that.
It
really
was
does.
it was really long and divided by, I think,
A pretty big gap in the middle, right?
yeah, the gap was
Thanksgiving-ish, I think?
the when they traveled to Earth 2 for the first time, and it's got that full
right.
steampunk vibe.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I mean, so we've introduced Earth 2 and the multiverse in this season, which is why, and this is what I think, which is really really good about Flash, and why we so just to overall thing of the Flash. Did we like season 2 like more so than the first season, or do we?
I don't think I liked it more than the first
No, I don't
season.
think so.
I feel like it dipped in the last third
Yeah,
because
I
it suddenly it tried to get to.
Oh wait, you
Yeah.
think it dipped in the last third?
Yeah.
Oh.
Overall, so there were parts where I was pretty excited. Like I think 2 episodes before the finale, we were all like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, what just
Yeah.
happened?"
Yeah.
Fair, yeah,
But then they
that's
couldn't
true.
really like it. It didn't peak.
Okay, cool. So
Like after that,
I
it was
kinda-
just like they're throwing everything at the show.
It's funny you say that, but I particularly like the last third of the season for the simple reason is that they kind of stopped doing the villain of the week kind of thing. They started off in the beginning of the season, and they kind of focused more about this one contained story, which is about Zoom and Barry's dad and Harrison Wells and all that stuff. So I thought that was I like that they finally kind of siphoned in on that and they focused on that. And while I did expect a lot more, especially with Jesse Quick and Wally, I thought they were
They
going to
never
become
followed
impulse.
through on that, huh?
So
I'm guessing it'll come up
it's
next
probably
season,
going to
yeah.
come up next season. But I'm glad they waited it out. They kind of built Wally's character, really well. I think one of the criticisms of Kid Flash in the comics is that he's a kid
Yeah.
and then he gets kind of annoying. But they've made Wally really, really interesting. And by the way, he's British. Did you know that?
Really?
Yeah, Wally's British. And because like I saw an interview and he's just like, yeah, I was just, some a bit open, and I was just like, wow,
He
shit.
mumbles too?
Yeah. That was quite interesting.
He sounds so articulate on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
show.
But yeah, he was
I just want to go fast.
that's what he sounds like. That was that you heard a sound bite from the show.
Oh, man.
Anyway, so I thought that the last third of the show was better in the sense that I'm glad they focused on the storyline rather than branch off into different things. And but while they did that earlier in the season, I thought that was also cool. There was one episode in particular which I really really liked. I don't know if you guys liked that, which was called, actually 2 of them. One was when Eobard Thawne comes back for the first time, and because that timeline has not been changed. He's protected, as they say in that timeline. He comes back where he finds out for the first time about Barry and his mother and his family and Harrison Wells, which is when he will eventually come back in the first season and try and ruin Barry's life. So I thought that was really interesting to see how the story began of where Eobard Thawne. And I hope that they keep bringing back elements towards it, because he's going to be the ultimate villain of this show.
Yeah.
And what I think Tom Cavanaugh is going to be. But I hope they keep kind of laying the seeds for it, throughout every season and until they finally get that. Though I think season 3 is pretty much going to be about the Reverse Flash. So yeah, so I like that. And there was another episode which I really liked, which was called Flashback, which was I think when I guess when Barry has to find out the Speed Force equation or something like that, he has to go back to the first season in time and find out and ask, Eobard Thawne Harrison Wells, like what that is. And so I thought it was really interesting to see, and that was the part where I think Hartley Rathaway, who's the Pied Piper, so he's there and he basically, he's a bad guy in that. And so he goes back, and that's where we introduce the concept of time wraiths, which we'll get into a bit. I thought that was quite cool that when he's like, I'm going to give you guys a year to figure out how to destroy time wraiths. And then he comes out and Hartley's like this reformed guy. So like there is some repercussion to him going back and changing the timeline a little bit. Yeah. So when he comes back, Hartley's a good guy and like they destroy the time wraiths. Which was a good episode. Yeah, it was quite interesting. I like it when they do that because time travel is so important to this show and they've not failed in doing it like very interestingly. Like they've not done like they've done the whole doppelganger thing, which is like, the opposites of everyone's character, which I thought that was kind of, not a cliche, but, it's a staple of the DC universe. But I think whenever they've tried out the time travel thing, which is so, inherent to the Flash storyline, they've done quite a good job.
So I saw a lot of similarity between the way in which the structure for Season 1 and Season 2 worked. And I think I liked Season 1 more, I think for similar reasons as you, Dinkar. Because, like you said, Season 1 was about Reverse Flash, this one's about Zoom, right? Yeah. So, Reverse Flash only really became the central focus towards the end of it. Likewise, in this one, once they sort of had finished off dealing with shark men and things like that, once the whole episodic villain thing got done, which happened about, maybe episode 15 or 16 in, and then there was still 8 more episodes to go, that's when they said, okay, cool, now we'll focus on the main guy, much like with the first season. Finally, they're like, oh, Reverse Flash, forget everybody else, he's our main focus. Now, the problem I had with this one, which the first season didn't have, was because of this whole time travel thing, and because they're going to Earth 2, and then because you have time remnants, and you have doppelgangers, and you have this and that, and then you have the guy in the mask, you have so many loose ends and so many variables factoring in, especially with that episode that you just mentioned, the one where you go back in time for like to talk to Eobard Thawne from a season ago, and then you change things up in that time, you come back, and it's like we've talked about this problem with with X-Men, with Days of Future Past. Like you don't really know where you are at all times.
It's a lot of stuff to balance.
It's a lot of stuff to balance, and so I completely understand that it's very much a big part of the way in which this particular DC universe works, and like it's all Flash's lore has always been revolving around the fact that he can run so fast and like bend time and all that. Well, not bend time, but play with it. So I think that season 2 kind of, for me, went a little off the rails because, like we said, this show is not not dark at all, really.
But it gets dark towards the end.
It gets darker, but it's not a dark show. And so because of that, it's not really gripping in that I never found myself binging on it for any reason other than like, well, I guess I have some time to kill today. I can watch this. I never like finish an episode and think to myself, holy crap, I need to know it. Like, it doesn't do what, Game of Thrones does. It doesn't do what a lot of really good TV these days can do. Yeah. It does it in a very casual way that like, hey, wouldn't it be fun if you can watch another episode? Yeah, I guess if I have a spare 40 minutes left, I'll watch the next one. But I'm not gripped by it, right? I don't feel a need to do that. And so when I took, on occasion I would take like a few weeks off. I'd watch like maybe 3 or 4 episodes in one binge.
Yeah, I think all of us kind of did the same thing.
I think we all did the same thing, right? So when that happened, the first 2 episodes after my break, for like even a week even, I'd be completely lost for like a good 20 minutes of the 40-minute episode. I'd be like, it's like, okay, you brought this guy back. Which season was he in? Did he die? Was he a good guy? Wait, so now he's a bad guy, right? Oh, wait, no. What's his superpower now? Oh, wait, that got taken from him. Like, all these things keep factoring in.
They have a succinct previously on Flash.
They do, exactly. And thing is, if you watch that, then you kind of, you get the bullet points, but I feel like it's a very, tedious
urgency that the first season of The Flash had, where it felt like, alright, let's watch the next one, come on, this is gonna be fun.
Right.
Like, it wasn't like a cliffhanger, always. It was more like let's just watch
not every episode had that. I think that the few episodes did have that.
Towards the last few episodes,
I'll tell you where I felt it particularly. There was one where Enter Zoom, I think that was the title of the episode, where he basically like completely beats up the Flash in front of the public. And it was a great episode.
That was a good episode.
And like it ends, and it was just like interesting to see that kind of dynamic now that that's where they really kind of showed that Zoom is like a real force to reckon with and a real powerful villain. So I think that was a good episode. There were a few moments, I mean, obviously spoilers alert, when when Henry Allen is, killed at the end, I was just like, oh, okay, that was, I mean, I didn't really not see it coming, but at the same time, I was just like, oh, yeah, cool, they did that, So I think there were a couple of moments where I definitely felt like, oh, cool, I would really like to see how this movie is. But you're right in saying there were lots of hits and misses in this. More misses than hits, I'd say.
This show is, well, actually, a lot of shows that follow this format, this 40 minutes, 20 episode things, are incredibly inconsistent.
Yeah.
And the trouble when you have such a complicated and potentially very convoluted universe, where in which, there are now going to be 3 Flashes because there's another 4 Flashes, whatever,
Actually, wait, let's count them off. There's The Flash, which is Barry Allen Flash.
Correct.
There's Earth 3 Flash now, Jay Garrick.
Right.
Which was cool.
Yeah.
They're going to have Impulse, which is Wally, and Jesse Quick. So I think they should have 4 Flashes.
And that's just one character.
Speedsters.
That means there are at least 3 of each character, because there are 3 Earths, there are 3 of each. I mean, basically what I'm getting at is, I'm not nitpicking at how many of each. What I'm getting at is, it's a very, this format of 40 minutes, 20 episodes.
Yeah.
Is a very inconsistent thing to keep pace, because you have so many things you have to factor in at all times, because especially when you're in the point of the season of any of these shows, where even superhero show or not, when you have an episodic theme, in each episode what you have to do is introduce a new character, give me a reason to empathize with him, give me a reason to not like him, build him up so that he's strong enough to combat my protagonist, in this case who's a superhero, and then defeat him, but let me still believe that he could come back. He's not totally down and out. So that when he does come back in Earth 2 or whatever the hell, I'm like, oh yes, I'm glad you're still here because I still believe in you from 40 episodes ago when you showed up on episode 5, season 1. You know what I mean? So
having said that though, I mean, what you're talking about, is that, kill them off, but not kill them off enough to,
exactly.
So I think that The Flash is a unique show in that sense, is that, every season is giving actors to kind of remake their characters, and I think that's a really weird
actors.
It's quite unique in the sense that I don't think any other show has the potential to do that.
It's definitely very cool.
Yeah. Obviously the main person I'm talking about is Harrison Wells, and how, Tom Cavanaugh has come back in this really gritty avatar who only whispers. He literally only talks like this. The whole episode is just whispering. Yeah, but I mean, and now, he could come back in another form, and,
I'm guessing he will. Yeah.
I mean, so do you feel like the death of Henry Allen was a bit of a cop-out in that sense? I
think so. So, my main issue, I get what you're saying about there being a lot of, balls in the air and stuff, but I think that was still okay. The Flash elements of it were still fine, I think.
What was okay? I don't know.
The basic storyline of the whole Zoom saga, that
all
works
over
for
the
me.
place.
But the relationships that were the way they kind of played on those just didn't make sense to me. Henry Allen, first off, even back in season 1, him coming back and then going well, I'm out.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, right.
Nice to be free. Thanks for all the help. I'm gonna go chop wood now.
But
weird. Then he suddenly comes back and goes you know what? I just realized I can't stick around here. There's nothing stopping me. I'm off being a lumberjack for some reason. So I'll stick around, which is so obviously something is going to happen. I was so it does hit you when he dies, but it's also come on.
You came back here.
You feel worse because you brought him back to die.
But I mean,
and then there's the thing that happens with him right at the end, which is
he's Jay Garrick.
Everything.
Yeah.
He's Jay Garrick. Yeah.
But obviously they teased that in an earlier episode when very casually he slips in the line saying, Garrick. That was my mother's maiden name.
I wonder what's going to happen. Well, they do that with... look at how he talks.
So was there any real doubt in your mind that the man in the mask was going to be...
I'll tell you when...
It's a great device because, that's just a creepy symbol and...
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, but then they telegraph it...
Completely unrelated to anything. The Man in the Iron Mask, starring Leonardo DiCaprio twice.
I loved it.
One of my favorite movies.
Yeah, great movie.
Recommended viewing if you haven't seen it. But
it's the sequel to this thing, isn't it? Is it Man
to Musketeers?
To Musketeers, yeah. Okay.
Is it a sequel?
It's in the
same universe.
But the movie itself is
an individual film. Yeah.
What was I saying there? So actually,
Alexander Dumas just making sequels before they were cool.
The Dumas franchise.
The
Dumaverse.
Yeah.
But actually, the moment that it was 100% clear in my head that he was going to be the guy in the mask, which is again a trope of this kind of TV show where it's 40 minutes long, 20 episodes per season, is the fact that they tell you the cast at the top of the show. And the fact that I saw his name at the top of the show when he just died.
But
I'm like,
having said that,
either flashback, which is I was pretty sure. Okay, we're done with flashbacks because now we're peaking.
a lot
we need
of
to
shows
end
have
this.
done that though.
All
Jishnu.
that.
Sometimes
A
they
lot
have
of
to
shows
I know.
keep
No,
the
absolutely. That's what I'm saying.
titles.
It's a trope. It's a trope of this kind of
Like
thing,
on
which
Game of
I don't
Thrones
agree
just
with.
yesterday, they
I haven't seen the last
You haven't seen the
episode.
last
I've seen the last episode.
Spoiler.
Sorry, Dinkar.
Okay, fine. All right.
Okay.
That's next week's
Though
podcast.
there is
Just
something
hold-
that
just hold-
happens that
just hold
relates
the-
very directly to this.
I know.
What's the episode?
I know.
Just
That's
hold
why
the
the thing
door,
is,
please.
I don't look at the Game of Thrones opening theme song.
That's also because it's like 45 minutes long, so...
What do you mean? The theme song?
The theme song, yeah.
It's obscenely long.
It
That's what everyone-
it gets to the end of the thing and you're like, alright, now the credits are gonna come up. And like, nope.
It just starts
It
again.
starts all over again.
It does start all over again.
Yeah,
But
it just
no.
goes into a major key.
Oh, like, come on, man, just start the show.
Yeah, honestly, like whenever I watch these kind of shows, I consciously, if I'm aware of it enough, I make it an effort
without
not to
spoiling
look at.
anything,
Yeah.
Game of Thrones moves the credit sequence. Usually it just starts with the credit sequence. This episode has a cold open
Oh, wow.
because
For the
of
first
the...
time?
Huh?
For
Yeah,
the first time
wow.
ever?
Nice.
for the first time in a while at least, because I
Okay,
don't
fair
remember
enough.
a cold open before. But yeah,
Nice.
they do this basically to avoid credit
Very cool.
spoilers.
Good,
Oh,
good,
interesting.
Good, good.
Interesting.
Awesome.
Yeah, so just coming back to an earlier point also, just anyway, so it's a very interesting opportunity for any actor who's cast in The Flash, to basically reprise their role in a different form or,
Yeah, yeah.
And so this is really interesting. Now, based on the events that we've seen the epilogue of season 2, where, he's basically gone and, created Flashpoint, which we'll talk about now and what possibly season 3 could be about. It's that this mother who we've been seeing only her death scene over and over again for the last 2 seasons now can actually be cast in the show. I mean,
Right? Yeah.
she's actually good. And, for her, she must be like, oh, wait, I'm going to be in this show? Like, I just thought I'd literally die in the first episode. So, yeah, we're gonna
And
take
then in the 14th episode, and then again in the 18th episode.
just watch
In
her
season
die
5.
over,
Yeah,
over
in
and
season
over again.
5.
And then, just the moment she's saved, she's like, no, wait, but you're actually going to stay dead. They're like, oh.
She gets like script page in the mail, she opens it up, yep, still dying, cool. It's like half a sheet.
Okay, we're going to take a short break and then we're going to come back and talk about possibly what's going to happen in season 3 and then the original overall timeline of all Barry Allens.
Hey guys, this is Malika Singhania, co-founder of the blog Stylogram, where we cover trends, fashion forecasts, celebrity style, tips and tricks, and lots more cool stuff. So tune in every Thursday to the Stylogram podcast, your weekly style telegram, giving you the latest fashion and beauty stories that are relevant to you. You can also subscribe to our show on iTunes, SoundCloud, Audio Boom, or any other local podcast app. See you soon.
And we're back with Geek Fruit. And we're talking about The Flash and season 2 and now possibly what's going to happen in season 3. Dinkar, why don't you tell us about what is happening right now with like Legends of Tomorrow and stuff? Because I feel like the events of the last episode and the chaos that they have pretty much started with that. Is that going to affect all the other shows and things like that? I mean, like, there is a crossover event planned, so I don't know.
I don't know. I am way behind on Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah, but-
I don't think I watched past like...
So
episode
does
4 or
Flash like
5.
make appearances in that show, or is he just
Not up to the
I-
point I watched. There's
Okay.
no
They
mention of
would have
Flash.
pimped that out. Like,
Yeah.
that's
that
nothing
would
happens.
not have been a secret if that was
okay,
happening.
cool.
And Supergirl is on again. Do we know if she's on another Earth?
She
that
is on another. So I
numbered?
did watch
Yeah.
that crossover. I watched the crossover episode, and she
Which is-
basically.
yeah.
So basically, there's one episode. I was wondering how they're going to tie it in. So basically, this is the time where Eobard Thawne gives him the tachyon,
Mm-hmm.
accelerator and stuff, and he puts it on his chest, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to see how fast I can run." And when he runs so quickly, he kind of
He
breaks
pops into the Supergirl universe.
he like probably Earth 3, maybe where Jay Garrick is,
Which he
and-
never brings up when he comes back to the Flash.
Yeah, he says, I think you would call it Earth 3 because nobody's named stuff until these
Yeah,
guys have
I
started
guess so.
popping into other universes. So it's fair that they're Earth Prime, I just want to say. Or Earth 616, as they say. So anyway, so he kind of goes into this other universe and he sees that there's a Supergirl there and he's like, there's no Flash in that universe or there's no other Flash in that universe. So maybe either Jay Garrick has not been operating for long enough for Supergirl to have noticed, and because she mentions the fact that there are no similarities between these two
Maybe
universes.
he's been running so fast she couldn't see him.
Maybe that.
Maybe he's just so good at his job.
But that's the thing. Right?
Nobody knows.
The episode is titled World's Finest, and I always thought that they would do the episode that is then like, you know, the Justice League and stuff, where the Flash and Superman actually in the original one have a race and stuff. But they don't do that. Instead, was a weird kind of story which I'm not following on Supergirl. I think you know about Silver Banshee. Yeah. And you know, so there's a bit of a crossover. It's quite interesting to see Barry Allen in a new camera format.
Yeah, it's like I would really like to.
Yeah, it was just interesting to watch it that way. And because it was on the ABC, I think because at the time, so they said, oh, this is not going to be part of the same universe, it's going to be part of a different Earth. But now, since the events of television programming have happened, they've shifted Supergirl onto CW for budget reasons. Yeah. And now I think what might happen is, and this is what is on everybody's mind, is that I think all the events of Arrow, which they've not liked, okay, and they've said, oh, you know, with Black Canary being dead and all, and, you know, people hating the fact that Felicity and, you know, Oliver are together, all those errors which have happened in all the shows, I think they're going to use Flashpoint to kind of correct them, or at least it's an interesting opportunity. Very, of course, Days of Future Past-esque. Yeah. They're going to try and retcon a lot of the dumb things that have happened, and maybe try and provide a new 52 version, or like a rebirth for these shows. And for the simple reason is because like we were just talking about in between while we were having a break, we're just saying that a lot of the characters and a lot of the, you know, people in these shows have just been mishmashed and thrown together. Yeah. I mean, the fact that we have, you know, Reverse Flash, we had a new character, first of all, in the Flash called Harrison Wells. He doesn't exist, you know, prior to this. But he is, obviously, they've written him really well, and he ends up being a transmogrified, you know, Eobathon. So there's a lot of crazy stuff going on, and I feel like this is a good opportunity for them to retcon it, or at least reboot it in a certain way. I don't know. How do you think season 3 is going to play out?
I don't know if they will do that, purely because it's complicated to get TV shows together. Where like when you do a movie, you have like basically one guy going like, all right, let's put this guy in this movie, and you can still pull it off. But
they have planned it. They
have
said
3 storylines,
4 storylines,
4 in fact.
All 4. It's going to be 1 week that you'll have to jump between each show to continue the story.
Yeah.
So is this an official
thing? It's an official thing. Yeah, it's been announced for a while.
Right.
So it's Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, and Legends, right? So whichever show is whatever day. So Monday through Thursday or whatever it is, and you have to watch each show. So even
that did
right
happen
now,
with Flash and Supergirl.
Yeah, exactly. So
now Flash and Arrow, it happens every once in a while.
Yeah, but they've never done all 4 shows, and because now they're on the same network, they can do it. And I feel like it seems clear that this is either a finale-ish moment or mid-season finale-ish moment where they're going to try and resolve the events of Flashpoint. Because I don't think they're going to be able to stretch it.
No, they can't. So the thing is,
season.
And Superman's going to be on Supergirl next season.
Oh, is this, yeah?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Who's playing Superman?
They don't know yet.
Oh, is that a backdoor pilot? Is that going to be a show?
I doubt that. They're not gonna allow, I think, a Superman show, but there is going to be an appearance by Superman.
Oh, man.
And it's again, there's the whole movie universe and TV universe split. So
what if they just screw with everybody and get Henry Cavill to or Brandon Root?
Giant F.U.
Oh man, poor Brandon Root.
Oh wow, now we actually have the opportunity.
His doppelganger is Superman. That is perfect.
Oh, dude.
Atom on one universe.
If Atom can meet Superman, I think that would just be like, the whole universe would explode.
Brandon Root might also just like, kill himself the next day. He's like, man.
Yeah. That's
I used to be Superman. Now I'm like a secondary character on Arrow.
Yeah. Which is a secondary character too now. Flash, you know.
So something that I've thought about a lot particularly with Flash, because I think for all of us, it's the one that we know the most between these 4 shows on the CW, or what will soon be the CW family, is that, like we said, it's very much like a teen drama, right? So like I associate Flash as sort of just 2016's answer to the OC and shit like that, you know, whatever the similar kind of teen dramas that we watched when we were teens. It's the same kind of
when you watched Jishnu when you were a teen.
All right, fine. Jesus Christ.
I did not watch the OC.
That's your loss,
and I'm okay with it. I'm OC with it.
Hey, that Imogen Heap song was amazing when it happened.
Which that Frou Frou song, right?
Isn't that? No, it's an Imogen Heap song.
Oh, okay, I don't know because I don't watch the OC. God damn it! All right,
but you know
on.
The music.
You know the music.
You know the
what you say? That you only meant well. Well, of course you did. What you say? That it's all for the best.
It's
of
an
course
uncanny
it is.
Imogen Heap
what you say?
What
the hell's the name of the song?
It's
I just know how it goes. I don't know
hide
what
and
it's
seek,
Hide and seek, yes.
like the biscuit.
Anyway, I was going to make a really intelligent point, and now that's all gone to hell.
But
what was I
we're talking
getting
about
at?
season 3, and we're talking. You said
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. So basically, it's very much like a teen drama. But what I think it is, to its credit, this format that these shows are operating under, unlike the movies and like the Netflix shows and all the other approaches to recreate comic books in a cinematic format, this format actually I think is the most accurate to the way in which comics
Completely agree.
are written.
Serialized.
In that completely serialized
Yeah.
and a complete not mismatch, but a mishmash of everything in their universe. Because
Yeah.
within any episode, within any issue, within any series, within any TV show, between these four, I'm talking about now the CW family,
Yeah.
anything can happen. And now when you read a comic book, you go, wow, this is bizarre, this is crazy. But I think by virtue of it being a comic book, and you can sort of stare at one specific page for as long as you want.
It's called the pause button, Jishnu.
Yeah.
Well, you can't think is if you watch on TV, you technically shouldn't have a pause button, right? It's like you shouldn't have that luxury. And that's sort of where the momentum of it
Fair enough.
is not in your control. So when you're reading a comic book and you're reading anything really,
Yeah.
it's in your hands, right? You can choose how quickly or slowly you want to go about that story. So you can like take the time to read editor's notes. You can take the time to like, look at the back cover and like sort of see everything and absorb
Yeah.
it all in. With a TV show like this, for whatever reason, there are hundreds of them. They go at the pace at which they do. They throw stuff in at various points that they choose to, and you just have to accept it. When it comes to these comic book issues that you read physically, you can choose, well, I'm not going to read issue number 47, I'll just skip it and go to 48.
No, why would you do
no,
that?
because
it is
you
serial.
will
You're starting
totally
No,
in
it's
India.
no. So it's serialized, but I don't think it's the end of the world if you miss one. Because it's
But
it's
doesn't
not,
it get super confusing? Because like
Yeah.
even if you open any comic book in the middle of a series, you're just like dropped
Yeah,
in
but,
media
I mean,
res.
you're
and
always
it makes
dropped in
no
media res,
sense.
though.
But
yeah.
it's a lot. What I'm saying is, I think it's a lot easier to catch up when you're reading a comic book than it is when you're
Fair enough.
seeing.
No, I understand your point.
If I skip episode 16,
Yeah.
right, and I miss. Let's take. We were just talking about the Kevin Smith episode for a little bit.
But
So-
we could have skipped that, and really, no one would have been the wiser. I swear. that episode, it was about it was just like, let's give Kevin Smith an episode, and Kevin Smith's like, I'm gonna do something
I don't
different.
know, but come
Also,
on.
okay,
I don't
wait.
think he didn't write it, and it didn't feel very Kevin Smithy in the
Yeah, it
direction.
really
I
did.
think it was
Okay,
a
so
weird
it-
episode,
so
but
just so
I
we're
wouldn't
clear-
blame Kevin Smith for it.
Just so we're clear, and
Let's
so
just
that our
blame
listeners
Kevin
know,
Smith for everything bad.
the Kevin Smith episode we're talking about is the one where the Flash is technically dead, and he's sort of in purgatory in the,
He's in the Speed Force, not
He's
purgatory.
It's
In the
basically,
Speed
it's
Force.
basically purgatory. I mean, it's a metaphor for purgatory.
But he's not.
This is my interpretation of how bizarre that episode was. I think that episode was meant to give you give the Speed Force some sort of brevity and be like, the Speed Force has a higher power, a higher meaning. There is some
Yeah.
method to why this is so bizarre.
Which is why I thought that
It's a get to know the Speed Force episode.
enough.
Yet I'm even more confused now by the Speed Force because of
but
that episode.
it's supposed to be mystical and magical. You're not
Yeah.
supposed to understand all of it. But at the same time, I feel like it was badly. I was like, that's what the Speed Force looks like. It looks like this.
No, though
you
I
know,
did like Jesse L. Martin's way of
Well,
doing the
because
Speed
Jesse L. Martin is Jesse L.
He can
Martin.
do no wrong.
He can literally do no wrong.
can
He
do
was
no wrong.
talking like he's talking like a little puppy, like, "Hi,
Yeah.
I'm the Speed Force.
yeah, it's great.
Are you following?"
even that great moment in when they
musical
go to
episode.
Earth 2.
The musical episode.
Where he
Oh, the
sings.
musical episode's so
It's
good.
like, that's great. We were just all trying to find a way to get Jesse L. Martin to sing. But so anyway, coming back, season 3, it's going to be quite interesting. I mean, so I've read a couple of theories online, and this is also something that we've also talked about. But season 3 and Flashpoint. Let's just talk about Flashpoint for a second. Flashpoint was the series that kind of started the new 52, which was the reboot before the most recent one, and so basically what happens in that is that the Flash, after a series of events, just, doesn't actually, we don't even see it in the comics, but he goes back right at the start of it all, and he seemingly wakes up in a world where, his mother is alive, he's a forensic detective, and that's it. He doesn't have any powers, nothing, none of it. But he's also in a world where, Aquaman and Wonder Woman, basically their two cultures are at war. Batman is Thomas Wayne, because Bruce is the only one who's killed, and then we kind of find out also, spoiler alert, you must read it though, that, at the time of Bruce's death,
Oh,
one
that's
goes
right.
crazy and becomes the Joker, Martha becomes the Joker, and Thomas Wayne becomes Batman. And I think it's an amazing. Cyborg is like the best, like is the greatest hero in the world at that point of time. So and basically they're all trying to stop.
He was working for the government?
The government. He's working for the
right.
government, yeah. So it's a very interesting way of looking at this new world, and it was just like a seminal kind of collection, a volume of comics, and it was a great crossover event. So now they've kind of teased that at the end of this season by Flash going back and saving his mother for the first time. And this time the Flash from the first season finale kind of looks and he sees him saving his mother, he smiles and he disappears.
Yeah.
So basically now everyone's left to imagine now that season 3, a good part of it should be Flashpoint, and when he wakes up or comes back to the present, he's not going to have his powers, but then that does...
But they're going to have to tweak it quite a bit.
They're going to have to tweak it quite a bit. Obviously, there's no Batman, none of these characters exist.
Yeah.
Somebody has been saying that Arrow is now going to be Robert Queen, and like he's going to be the Batman of this. I mean, they're just like theories that have been out. So I found it quite interesting.
The entire reason Thomas Wayne agrees to help Flash in Flashpoint is that the world is pretty much at the brink of destruction because of the war, right? So they need something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
and
I'd like to
that's
see the Flash
that's
universe.
where the crossover comes in, right? That's where the multi-show crossover comes in.
But I'd like to see the Flash universe in like turmoil. That would be really cool to see. Just like this, that the city's overrun, like a dystopian kind of look at it.
I mean, Vibe saw Earth 2 like blowing.
Maybe he saw that. Yeah.
Maybe that wasn't Earth 2. I don't know. I mean, it could be.
Yeah.
There's so many. Like I said, there's so many open loose ends from season 2 that they can choose any of them to put into season 3. They could save some for season 6. Right? I mean, like they could put it anywhere they want to. There's so much stuff that's all over the place. Like, I've already lost track of what happened 2 episodes ago.
Yeah, but I mean, I
couldn't tell you what happened 2 episodes ago.
I would really like to see, at least the first, maybe the first 6 episodes be Flashpoint related. I mean, that would be really cool to see him navigate this world, and him getting his powers back in Flashpoint is really, really hardcore. Where he basically asks Batman, Thomas Wayne, to kind of put him in the same thing, and he gets like completely fried by the lightning, and he's about to die, and they redo it,
and then he goes like, let's do it again.
Let's just do it again, and it's quite an excellent series. Yeah. So I'd really like to see them try and adapt in some way. I feel, though, the end of all of this is just like a guess, though, that in the first season, at the end, when Flash does come to try and save his mother again, and he sees the Flash and says no, I think that's going to be the end of this season, where he's going to come and recreate the original setting of it, and then just when Flash comes in to kind of save it, that's him now at the end of season 3 saying, don't do this.
You've already lost me, but I'm confident that with a simple 20-second previously on, I will know exactly what you meant. Whenever that episode is, that will be the first 20 seconds of that episode, so I will have context for what you just said, because I couldn't remember.
Okay, cool. So
happened.
let me confuse you even more, Jishnu. So here's the actual timelines of the Flash, the TV show, that I think I hope correct me if I'm wrong. So this is how it starts. Nora Allen is not dead. She's alive. Barry grows up, and he becomes the Flash around like his 30s, I guess. Mm-hmm. And at that point of time, Eobard Thawne comes back and, fights the Flash, hates him, blah, blah, blah. Comes back earlier then to kind of defeat the Flash, and he does it by killing his mother, which creates the new Barry Allen, which we watch in the TV show. Then at the end of the first season, while he goes and tries to save his mother, he is stopped by another Flash, and so he doesn't do it. Season 2 happens, Zoom is the primary villain, and at the end of defeating him, he's so broken and desperate, he goes back and saves his mother from the previous Eobard Thawne. Okay.
You guys can't see, but I'm face palming right now.
Yeah.
It more or less.
Yeah, so that's basically where we're at. Yeah.
Sure.
At the, I mean, like, what people keep getting confused by is that there is already a Flash. Otherwise, the Reverse Flash wouldn't have come back in the first place to kill his mother.
Yeah.
So that Flash was like a chill guy. He became the Flash normally through actual Harrison Wells. Actual Harrison Wells.
The old-fashioned way in reality. Yeah.
So the actual Harrison Wells does the particle accelerator.
Right.
He creates the Flash, and the Flash is just the Flash, and he has no sadness in his life. He's just the Flash, and his mother is alive. But when he meets the meets the Reverse Flash, I mean, that's when things goes all tits up.
Fair enough. So it's a point that I brought up, I think, when we talked about the X-Men as well, with this whole thing about, repurposing storylines from the comics and whatnot. So, like we mentioned a little bit before, Harrison Wells is definitely, for me, my favorite thing in the show. Arguably him and Jesse L. Martin, like the two characters. But Harrison Wells is a completely made-up guy, right? Who does not exist in the comics.
No, he doesn't exist. No,
Right.
he's completely
Now,
new.
here's the interesting thing. He is my favorite thing. The thing...
Inside chew 40 pieces of gum per hour.
What
Sorry.
the hell was
Oops.
that?
Hit a button. My bad.
Wow. Please, can we keep that?
Okay.
Of course we're keeping that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's
Podcast
just-
crossover.
Let's just move on past that. So,
Was that
what was it?
something from
What-
another Earth popped into our podcast?
Yes, probably.
So anyway...
Yeah.
What I was getting at with Harrison Wells is that him being my favorite thing makes me curious as to the possibility of season 3 having more completely original storylines to it. Because Flashpoint, obviously I've heard about for a lot. I don't know much about it, but I know it's a very big important part to his story in the comic universe. Just in general, like with just the nature of comic book movies now and comic book TV shows, since it's becoming so ubiquitous, you know how much I love to use that word, since people have seen so many different reinterpretations of these kind of storylines again and again and again, do you think we can get to a point where they can say, you know what, we're just going to make our own damn thing? Because then nobody can question it.
There's
Nobody
a lot
can
of
say,
good source material to
there's
do.
great
And,
source material, but it's been done. I mean, like...
It's not been... Flashpoint has never been done.
No. I mean, it's written. That's what I mean.
It was
Well, it's
done in
written
the
once.
AU.
Yeah, so, I mean...
It's done once in
It's
the
in the-
AU.
in the animated
which was
universe.
one of the most...
A very good movie.
Very
yeah.
good movie. I don't know if you've seen Flashpoint Paradox, which was
No.
the animated kind of adaptation of that, which also takes some liberties with it. But like, it's still an excellent story worth doing on screen.
I'm sure it is. I'm just saying that, like...
They kind of teased it really, really, really slim, like on in Batman vs Superman when Flash comes back.
Flash jumps in.
Dude, I swear, when that moment happened in the film, I was like, oh my god, this is going to be the greatest movie ever. And it was just like, obviously it's a teaser. It was way too much for this movie to handle. As it is, that movie was packed to the brim. But the fact that they might just do that in the Flash movie, or even make that the topic of the first Justice League film, that would be really, really interesting. And I think it's worth doing it for the simple reason that, like you're saying, we've already seen so many different versions of Batman, and now we're seeing Wonder Woman, etc. It would be really interesting to see Thomas Wayne as Batman, just to see like a new... And this is another thing I was talking about, is that, they've cast a really, really good actor in... What's his name? The guy who plays Thomas Wayne in Batman vs Superman.
Who I don't.
They cast Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan, yes.
as Thomas Wayne.
Okay.
I was picturing Javier Bardem.
Yeah,
though.
because they both look
Because
very,
they
very
look
similar.
exactly the same.
But
yes.
how amazing would it be to see Jeffrey Dean Morgan, even for a little bit, as like Thomas Wayne Batman? That would be excellent.
But they can't do Flashpoint if they're going to do it in the TV show. It's not going to happen in the movies for sure.
Or maybe it's in their interest to do both.
This is what
I
I'm saying.
doubt
Why
they
can't
would
they
do that.
both
They're
just
not gonna
write
take
a
the
new
same
story?
storyline and-
All I'm saying is, why can't they write a new storyline? Because they have
can.
great original
So BVS
characters.
is a new storyline.
No, exactly. Yeah. So like, just keep doing that. Like, I mean, you have great
Well,
source
we've
material.
seen how that ended up.
Yeah, but I'm
No,
getting
I'm
at
not
is there's
saying
no
that-
restriction. Like,
I agree.
if you adapt something, you're bound. You will always have people that are going to nag and be like, "Me, but you
I'll
didn't
tell
do
you
the
what,
way we wanted it."
So here's the thing. Here's why people are going back to source material. Because every time when the stories started in the movies, when they started doing superhero movies, they started doing their own takes on it, like Superman Returns, etc. It was a really bizarre thing. And they realized that, yeah, man, why are we trying to make our own version of it when there's plenty of really good stories already written for us to try and adapt? And they're good, popular stories which have worked already well. You have to consider that comic books are almost like a focus group for movies, because these stories have worked well with an audience already. Why not just try and adapt that? And obviously they're still going to have their own element of surprise. Like we saw Civil War. I mean, it was nowhere close to the original comic of the same name, but it was just like an interesting way of taking the same kind of essence of it and just recreating it in a film. So similarly, Flashpoint is not going to be like the original Flashpoint, because for simple reason, we don't have any of the characters. Old Man Logan is not going to be anything like the comic, because they don't have the Hulk, they don't have anything. So I think what they're trying to do is just take the original idea of the comics of saying that, oh, Logan is old now and he's on his dying days. Basically, that's what they're doing. Civil War is the fight between two friends, and they elevated it to such a level that it became no longer about the ideological fight. It's now about this friendship that he's trying to maintain with both these people. So similarly, I think Flashpoint is going to be more about I think it's going to be more about the mistakes that Barry has to make before he can become this ultimate Flash that we'll see maybe in season 4 or something like that. He's still a kid, he's still young. And there's something just really elementally amazing about the Flash, which is about, running from your past, from your future, whatever it is. And just, I think that's what makes Flash a great character. And I think using this storyline of him changing something that is so crucial to his own making, I think makes the Flash just an awesome character, which is why I'd really like to see Flashpoint happen.
So that's my point as well. That's the problem. We both have the same point. It's that the character is what you're drawn to, not the storyline. So the Flash and everybody on the show, like not everybody. We didn't talk about Snow too much, but not Snow. Most people on that show, most of the characters on that show are really strong characters. Yeah. And that's why I go back to watch the show. Not because I'm looking forward to the storyline that is going to be rehashed. That's already written.
So I'll tell you what's going to happen. So in that case...
So what I'm getting at basically is that all I want to see is the characters that I love across all kinds of mediums, be it TV, cinema, comic books, whatever it is. I want my characters to be treated well. I couldn't care less about if the story was written 50 years ago and it's being readapted, or if the story was written yesterday and I'm seeing it for the first time. In the case of Star Wars, which I think is one of the few things where why I'm so excited about Star Wars, because I know that I can't compare this to anything else and cry about you didn't do it the way I expected you to. I like not expecting anything or not knowing what to expect. And that's what I get fatigued by with the genre of superhero. It's been done for 20 years. We finally got it right. And I think technology is the biggest factor, that we can finally make Superman fly and believe it. Yeah. It's no longer gimmicky until Michael Bay does it. It's no longer gimmicky, you know what I mean?
No, but
it doesn't look bad.
The tagline of Richard Donner's film was, "You'll believe a man can fly."
So the thing is, we now can execute a superhero movie to the point where we can take the visual imagery from a page and make it look just as impressive, right? And that's beautiful.
Yeah.
But we've stagnated now, I think, with we know that it's safe. Because
it's safe. I agree.
But that storyline is beautiful. Yeah, we can't deny Civil War. That book is amazing. Yeah, Flashpoint, it's great. Cool. Nobody can argue with that. But I'm saying we by being, when I say we, I mean the industry, took a gamble and said, you know what? Let's take this guy in red chaddis and a blue leotard and have him fly on strings and say, let's make 90 minutes or 2 hours of that. And initially it didn't do that great, but now we can make it look really cool. So I think we now need to take to the next level and say, okay, cool. People know these characters well. Now let's just run with them on our own. Okay. And because there are great writers everywhere that write great films. Let's just have those guys write a superhero movie completely on their own. Like we said, we didn't really enjoy the Kevin Smith episode. But I think if you told Kevin Smith, here's however millions of dollars you need to make a solid Flash movie, you write a Flash movie that's completely our own, I would much rather see that than see a Flashpoint remake.
He almost did that with Superman.
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah, that's a pretty wacko movie with Nicolas Cage.
How can you not love it? Yeah,
but,
so all I'm saying is I'm just a little fatigued
extent,
now.
A lot of the time, writers are taking inspiration from comic book, concepts, not even storylines.
Sure.
And then like the Nolan movies.
Exactly. Yeah, we were just going to bring that up. So definitely the Nolan movies, but the Nolan movies still like there's still lots of beats that are taken from Long Halloween.
Yeah, but beats. There's no one storyline.
So why I'm saying Flashpoint would be good to do is because it invades the simple idea of saving Barry's mother. That's literally it. After whatever they do past that, I'm okay with. Because anyway, they're going to have to create new stuff. Right. But the act of saving his mother's life is so it's just a simple thought.
Yeah.
And, changing that is like the idea of Flashpoint. That's really what it's based on.
Fair enough.
So, so that's really what I'm really interested in seeing, is that him changing his entire origin just to give himself some peace. I mean, and I really love that last episode when he's really broken and he sits outside and he's like he's like, I want to be with you but I can't, and I just want to find some peace, and this is the way he chooses to act upon it. I think that's really interesting.
I think that's good, and thank God they did that, because the other thing I found really poorly executed in this season of The Flash was the Iris-Barry relationship.
Yeah, man,
where
seriously.
Just goes like, I guess we're together in the future, we're together now too, let's try it out here, I suppose. Which just doesn't make sense.
I mean, actually it makes, it doesn't not make sense in the sense like that.
Yeah, but it's not how...
you know what your future is going to be, but in this show, obviously, the future can be changed,
but
etc.
It's like... well, I guess we end up together, so let's start now. It's like one of those packs where, like, if we're both 35...
That is exactly what it is.
But speaking of the specific relationship between the two characters, what I'm really looking forward to, so like we said, we're not the biggest fan of the Barry Iris relationship, but we love, we love Harrison Wells, we love Sisko, we love Jesse L. Martin.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for the day in which a superhero movie can give birth to a completely random spin-off that normally wouldn't make a lot of sense. What I mean is something like, say, wouldn't it be great if there was a Winter Soldier and Falcon buddy cop road trip movie circa that tiny little 30-second sequence in Civil War when they're like in a tiny car? Wouldn't that be great? Now, that's the same thing as saying when Wizard of Oz came out, somebody's saying, wouldn't it be great if we had an entire musical based off of the prequel on this Green Witch?
No, but it was based on a book.
Based on a book, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's such a random one-off kind of thing that wouldn't really sell. There's no way that if you pitched Wicked back then, even though Broadway musicals have always been a thing, especially in that time, I don't think Wicked would have sold in 1930,
people were still
1940.
getting acquainted with the idea of Wizard of Oz.
Exactly. So right now that we are well acquainted with
but
superheroes...
that's why Deadpool is such a hit. Deadpool was started as a parody,
Exactly,
right?
exactly. We now know superheroes so well that I think we can take a departure from them and be completely cognizant of the fact that we are no longer bound by the usual stereotypical things of what superheroes movies have become.
Heroes definitely need to be... I mean,
we know that genre so well.
People need to be more like self-aware of the fact that they are living in a world where heroes exist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think most movies are moving towards that. To the fact that no one's no longer like... People are not surprised anymore at the fact that, oh, there's a person here who can do that. And that's crazy. Okay, we'll deal with it. But what's more interesting is like the relationship we have.
Yeah.
So so Deadpool was started as that. I mean, like he was made as a parody of Deathstroke, which is why their names are so similar. Slade and Wade Wilson, whatever. And just it became so funny and so popular because it was so self-referential and aware that now it's like the biggest movie this year. So, so yeah, I think movies definitely know that. That's the problem we have with Apocalypse. It's that, that it didn't do that. It didn't become self-aware in the sense that, we've seen all of this before. We're done with Ultron did it once. I mean, how can Apocalypse do it again? And you can't allow that anymore. Yeah. Which is why, and I go back to this point, which is why Flashpoint might be really, really interesting because you're changing the base structure of the storyline and just saying, let's see what happens. Yeah. So
and all I'm saying is I want to see a Harrison Wells solo one-season Netflix gritty Harrison Wells.
Know what?
He's just talking like this all the time.
There were so many characters who were birthed in animation, like Harley Quinn and X-23, and we've spoken about that before. And the whole storyline of Mr. Freeze and the fact that his wife is that was made in the Batman animated show, and now that's like canon. So you never know, man. Harrison Wells might well make a appearance in the comic books in the future. So that's that.
That is that.
Cool. So we're done with, we're not really even close to being done with The Flash. There's too much to talk about, like Iris and Snow and
we would
things
need
like that.
25-40-minute episodes.
Or maybe our versions in Earth 2 have discussed it, so we don't have to talk about it anymore. Okay,
Anywho,
cool. We're done with this
thanks
episode.
For listening, people.
If you guys want to get in touch with us, contact geekfruit@gmail.com and that's the entire thing. Contact geekfruit@gmail.com, not contact geekfruit@gmail.com. So have I confused it further?
Yeah, I think so.
And find us on all social media at GeekFruitHQ. And I think it's across Instagram, Twitter, and
everything, yes.
And everything, pretty much. And Facebook as well. So give us your opinions. Tell us what you thought of Flash Season 2, Season 1, whatever. What do you think is going to happen in Season 3? And maybe some of the other DC shows, which we're also going to be covering in a few episodes. So let us know about that. If you want to find us on Twitter, we're all of there individually as well. And get in touch, man. That's mostly what I'm trying to say here. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you very much, Dinkar, for being here. And bye, Jishnu.
Bye.
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 Geek Fruit is an IVM production, and if you happen to like our show, then you're probably going to like the Poudcast, a Bombay-based food and culture podcast hosted by the Daily Pow. So if you want to check out cool stuff in Bombay, you know where to listen.
Hey man, just help me out, man. I need some podcast, man. I haven't had a fix in a week. Just need some.
Don't you worry about it. I got podcast galore for you, man. Just go to ivmpodcast.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Thanks, man. I'm gonna check it out.